So I built the world's largest notes platform for law students with over 1 million users since I started the platform back in 2017, and it's now generating a few $100s per month. And I want to show you exactly how I did it and how you guys can do exactly the same thing. Right, so way back in 2016, I just finished my degree and things were pretty good. You know, I didn't have to worry about deadlines, I didn't have to worry about losing my dignity on, nights out and stuff like that. But truth be told, I wasn't exactly happy. Now, this does sound a tad depressing, but I suspect there's a whole bunch of you out there who probably felt quite a bit like I did when I graduated, or at least if you haven't graduated yet, you're going to feel a little bit like I did when you do graduate. The reason being, I just spent the better part of 3 years racking up a bunch of debt to study something that I had very little intention of using professionally, even though I'd gone through the motions of applying for legal jobs, because that just felt like the right thing to do. Sure, I really enjoyed my degree. Like, I think it was a lot of fun and I learned a lot of cool stuff. But I was just miffed by this thought that had I been given decent career advice before I even went to university, I'd probably have taken a completely different path. And now, like, I'm 3 years down the line, I'm sort of left with this fancy certificate, and it kind of all just feels somewhat pointless. Like, where am I? What am I doing? And I felt a little bit lost. This isn't to say that going to university is a bad idea, like, not at all. I think going to university is a genuinely sick idea. Like, it's so good, you learn so much, you get to speak to and meet so many cool people. And, it's a genuinely useful and solid investment if you're passionate about the subject. But for many people, so I found, uni just doesn't quite live up to its hype. And it's not because we struggle to settle in or because we don't, broadly enjoy the experience, but because it's taking us down a path that is fundamentally wrong to us. For others, the sad reality is that going to uni just isn't a thing. Maybe, they don't have the support, guidance, or resources to follow their dreams, despite having the ambition and intelligence to do so. Maybe it's, just way too expensive, or perhaps they're just living in a country where going to uni just isn't the done thing. So basically, I was driven to create this platform, Digestible Notes, because I wanted to make learning simple, accessible, and most importantly, and as far as possible, completely free. And, I want to give everyone the opportunity to build and achieve their dream life too. And you see, like, the motivation behind this is that I don't think that our future should be defined by our ability to secure a certain certificate from a certain university, but instead it should be defined by our own ambitions and our drive to succeed. And so this is what motivated me to start Digestible Notes. At the time when I was first starting to build this platform, I had literally no idea what I was doing and how I was going to achieve this goal. And to be honest, I'm still kind of just making shit up as I go along. But I really like this quote from Friedrich Nietzsche. I'm not sure how you say his name, so let me know in the comments. But basically, he says, "He who has a strong enough why can bear almost any how." And it perfectly sums up how I wanted to approach the building of this platform. In short, if you're looking to do something similar to this and build a really cool platform, really it starts with solving a personal pain point and just focusing in on something that you truly care about. It doesn't matter exactly how you do it, but just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Now, the first stepping stone in my grand master plan was basically to just begin sharing information and knowledge online. I didn't really particularly care how this information was presented. I didn't really care what my website looked like. In fact, I just used WordPress to begin with. Like, I didn't do anything fancy. I used the given, the default templates on WordPress and just started posting on that. And you know what? I didn't even really care if anyone actually looked at what I was saying. It didn't bother me. For me, it was just a matter of sharing my knowledge and hoping that at least one person would find that information useful. And to be honest, if you're like starting out posting online, I think this is a great mindset to have. Like, you're not trying to impact millions when you first start, you're just trying to help 1 or 2 people. And from there, the snowball will just start to build and you'll start helping more and more people. And like that effect, that sort of impact that you have will begin to compound. So the plan then when you're just starting out is to just find your tribe. Begin finding the people who care about the same stuff that you care about and build that service or platform with them. And this is really the best thing to do. And it's the easiest thing to do when you just begin sharing stuff online. Now, although I've done, reasonably well from just sharing my knowledge online, I genuinely think that even if just like a handful of people were viewing my website every week, I'd still be doing the same thing. And there's a couple of reasons for this. So first, there's this idea of the protege effect, which is basically this idea that whenever we teach something, or at least pretend to teach something, we are actually reinforcing our own understanding of that knowledge. So by writing stuff on the internet and making that information as clear and concise as possible, I was helping to build my own understanding of those topics. This is why I always recommend to students, whether they're law students or otherwise, to begin posting stuff online, whether it's as a YouTube channel or as a blog or whatever form you want, and just begin sharing your knowledge online, because that will help you to learn and reinforce your understanding of that topic too. The second reason is to sell my sawdust, as I like to call it. Basically, throughout my degree, I had accumulated this whole heap of notes that, I had no use for anymore. But I found that if I could share them online, someone else could actually find those notes very, very useful. In the same way that a woodworker could typically make something like a table, and that would typically be the core product that they're selling. But as a byproduct of that process, there may be some sawdust. Now, some woodworkers would deem that sawdust, worthless and would just chuck it away. But there will be some woodworkers who go, actually there may be someone or some business that finds this sawdust useful, like a pet shop who may buy the sawdust to keep their animals warm and happy. So my notes from my degree was essentially my sawdust that I could do something useful and potentially profitable with too. In short then, I had a problem that I wanted to solve, and I had something to say about that problem. And so I used all of this as a launch pad to basically give me something that looked a little bit like this on day one of my journey. Now, it's nothing pretty and it's all fairly basic, but it really did do the job quite well. And actually, the foundation of it is pretty much the same as what it is today. I had a bunch of different law notes, a forum that became riddled with obscene material, so, that was quickly axed, and even dabbled with the idea of creating notes on a wide range of different subjects. But I soon realised that this was just going to take forever, so I niched down and focused most of my attention on the stuff that I knew best, which was the law. This was actually a fantastic decision looking back, and I really don't think the platform would be as good or as popular as it is today if I tried to create notes on a whole wide range of different subjects. And as one wise guy once told me, niche down to blow up. Basically, if we focus on a very well-defined niche, we're going to find it far easier to find a tight-knit community of fans who know, like, and trust what we do. But this isn't to say that building an audience online is the easiest thing to do. It really, really isn't, and it can be quite a slow burn to begin with. So let me show you exactly what I mean. So as you can see here, in the first 3 months of posting daily content on this site, the max number of users I got in a single day was about 5 people. Even after 6 months, I had only around 2,000 people, which really isn't that many people when you think about it, especially when like a good 20% of those people were actually returning users. So in reality, only about 1,600 people had ever seen my site after 100 days of consistent posting day in, day out. So yeah, that's kind of depressing when you think about it. There was actually a point, probably around this 6 months mark when I think back at it, where I had this serious imposter syndrome about everything I was doing. My thought process was like, why would anyone care about what I'm saying, what I'm talking about on my website, when I'm just a law student who did reasonably well during my degree? There are plenty of other great resources, great textbooks and experts that, can say a lot more about the stuff that I'm sharing online. Why wouldn't they just go to those guys rather than coming to me and my site? But I think I kind of broadly concluded from all of this that the idea that we can't teach something if we're not an expert at it just isn't true. In fact, C.S. Lewis calls this the curse of knowledge. Basically, we don't actually learn best from people who are experts at a particular subject because they're just so far beyond where we're at. Instead, we learn best from people who are just 1 or 2 steps ahead of us in our own particular journey. And so my mindset kind of shifted at this point to how can I be a guide rather than a guru? How can I help people who are once like me, intimidated by the law, confused by everything the lecturer said, and give them a clearer, more straightforward path in their legal journey? This is also why I decided to create my Digestible Law YouTube channel too. I just wanted to make the process of learning a subject as simple and easy as possible, and also as accessible as possible depending on their learning style. Like, they may prefer to write something, they may prefer to watch something, they may prefer to listen to something. I just wanted to give that student as many different ways to learn that same subject, giving them the best possible chance of success. And as you can kind of see here, it also turned out to be a pretty good marketing tool too. Soon after I started posting more content on YouTube and on blogs and on other sites, especially targeting those like longer tail keywords, so those sort of phrases that people don't normally search for. So it hasn't got like millions and millions of views, but like, 100 or 200 views a month. Once I started targeting those sort of like less common phrases that people type in Google, my traffic started to spike. So a further 6 months later, I was already seeing, a couple hundred of views a day. And a year after that, daily users were actually close to 1,000. In short, there wasn't really anything particularly special about what I was doing. I was just being very consistent over a long enough time period. And I genuinely think that if anyone is consistent over about 2 years, whether it's on YouTube or a blog or a website or anything like that, they will find success, or they will find that their life changes in a material way, as long as they're posting genuinely useful and insightful stuff. Today, having redesigned the whole website to make it a little bit more visually appealing and easier to use, I've had over 1.1 million users and a pretty decent 3.7 million page views. It genuinely blows my mind that this many people could have stumbled upon my website and benefited from the stuff that I've been sharing. Plus, it's always a nice bonus to make a little bit of money from this too. So let's take a quick look at the sort of money that I've made from the platform so far. Now, the truth is, I don't personally really make any money or personal money from this project. Instead, all the money I make through digestible notes, I reinvest back into the platform to make it as good as possible. If I wanted to, I could probably make a fair amount of money from it, but to me, the wider goal of helping students is far more important than lining my own pockets. So let me take you through a kind of rough breakdown of the money that I'm making through digestible notes right now. Now, I have a couple of ebooks. So I've got one on how to get a first in law and one on how to master your law applications. And these kind of generate a few sales a day. So I'm probably making somewhere between 10 and 20 pounds a day from this. It kind of fluctuates throughout the year depending on, whether exams are coming up or whether it's summer and things like that. I've also got my Digestible Law YouTube channel. I get around 10,000 views every month. It's not a lot, but that still gives me about 30 to 50 pounds a month, which is reasonable, given that it doesn't really take me that long to record them. I do fairly minimal editing and I just whack them online, and gradually I get more and more views, which eventually gives me more money too. And finally, I've also got this Skillshare class that I made quite a long time ago. I don't really think it's any good. I made it probably 3 or 4 years ago now, but it still generates about 40 to 60 pounds a month. Now, I will drop a link in the description below if you want to check it out, but there's no guarantees that that course is any good. But it's there if you want to see it. Overall, I probably make around 300 to 500 pounds every month. If I wanted to, I probably could make a lot more money than this. Like, I've dabbled with the idea of starting a marketplace, I've dabbled with the idea of tutoring people, and also some people have asked me to write their law essays for them. But none of those things really felt like the right thing to do, and so I've just not done them. All I really want to do is just help as many people as possible and scale that impact as wide as possible, even if that means I'm making less money from it. But if you want to be making money from something like this, you could quite easily do it. Like, you could quite easily generate around 5,000 to 10,000 pounds per month just from the website alone if you are genuinely trying to monetize it properly. And if that sort of thing interests you, then perfect, because over the coming weeks and months, I'm going to be starting some sort of like series on how to make money online, where I sort of explore different sort of methods that you can use to make money and make an impact and sort of, I guess, build your dream life one day at a time. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye.